Welcome back to the DKO Show. I'm just going to be talking about the top 25 rankings. They came out yesterday. So I'm just going to be talking about those a little bit. So just jumping right into it. Georgia is still one after a concerning game against South Carolina where they only won 24-14. South Carolina is a team that Georgia should be beating by a lot more than 10 points. It's a little concerning, not what you want to see, but they're still number one in the nation. Not much to say about that. I don't really understand why they're still one, but they are. Moving on to 2, it stays with Michigan after a pretty dominating win against Bowling Green, I would say. It's not a pretty score, but it's still dominating. They beat Bowling Green 31-6. Blake Corum looked really good in that game. So did J.J. McCarthy. It's what you want to see from Michigan, but not much to say on that again. Now, 3, we have a new team at 3 as Texas moves up from 4 after a pretty good showing against Wyoming. After beating Wyoming 31-10, Texas moves up to 3. And honestly, I did not get to watch that game, but I heard it was a good game. Texas played really well from what I understand. So I'm not going to talk about it that much. But moving on to 4, Florida State drops from 3 down to 4 after barely beating Boston College. They beat Boston College 31-29. They still got the win, which is why they didn't drop more than 1 spot. But I mean, come on. You should not be beating Boston College by 3 points, by a field goal. That is not what you should be beating Boston College by. What happened? But moving on from Florida State at 4, I don't hate it. But moving on to 5 is USC. They dominated Stanford 56-10. Not much to say on that. At number 6 is Ohio State after dominating Western Kentucky 63-10. Not much to talk about on that. Penn State is 7 after beating Illinois 30-13. They stay at 7. 8 and 9 is Washington and Notre Dame. Neither of them changed. Washington destroyed Michigan State 41-7, and Notre Dame destroyed Central Michigan 41-17. I like 5 through 9. I think they were right in keeping those teams at their same spots. Not much to say on any of those. But moving on to 10 is where it gets interesting. Oregon moved up 3 spots after beating an unranked Hawaii team 55-10. I don't know why they moved up 3 spots for that, but I don't hate it. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why Oregon moved up 3 spots from that win. I understand they beat them by 45 points, but still, it's an unranked team who you're expected to beat by 45 points. But I'm baffled by that, but I don't hate it. Utah moved up 1 spot after beating Weber State 31-7. And so Utah is currently at 11. Now, it's not as dominating as a win as you want to see if you're Utah against a Weber State, basically a D2 school. Well, for football at least. Not the score that you want to see, but still pretty good. Moving on to 12, LSU moved up 2 spots after dominating Mississippi State 41-14. I didn't get to see much of this game. I heard Jalen Jaden Daniels was good in it and played very well. So you like to see them move up, even though I hate Brian Kelly. I'm not going into that right now. That's going to be a separate video that I probably will never make. Now moving on to 13. Bama moving down 3 spots after barely beating South Florida University. They beat them 17-3. 17-3. I know Saban was pissed, especially at halftime. They were only up 10-3 at half. What is going on? I thought, the score going into half, I believe, was 3-3. They were tied at half, and then Bama came out and scored 2 touchdowns. How? I'm surprised that they only moved them down 3 spots. They should. Actually, I know why they didn't move them down more than 3 spots is Alabama, and Alabama provides a lot of money to the NCAA and a bunch of other things, but they should have moved down more than 3 spots, in my personal opinion. You're beating basically an NAIA football school 17-3. How are you still 13? But moving on, Oregon State is at 14, moving up 2 spots after beating San Diego State 26-9. Nothing really to say there. Just going to be moving through the next couple spots quickly. Not really talking about them. Ole Miss at 15, they moved up 2 spots after beating Georgia Tech 48-23. Oklahoma at 16, moving up 3 spots after beating Tulsa 66-17. North Carolina moved up 3 spots after dominating Minnesota 31-13, and Duke at 18 moving up 3 spots after beating Northwestern 38-14. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. At 19, Colorado moved down 1 spot after beating Colorado State 43-35. Now, I understand why they moved down a spot. That double overtime game against Colorado State really shouldn't have gone into double overtime, on paper at least. During the game, that was by far the game of the week. I was impressed a lot with Colorado State, and especially their defensive line, mainly Karma. I forget his first name, but, dude, he's impressive. But Colorado, I understand why they moved down a spot going into double overtime against Colorado State. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. But yeah, Colorado's at 19, moving down a spot. Miami is at 20, moving up 2 spots after beating Bethune-Cookman. I've never heard of them ever. Beating them 48-7. That's understandable why they moved up. Next is at 21, Washington State moved up 2 spots after beating Northern Colorado 64-21. Now I see Washington State doing some stuff this year, trying to prove that they need to be in a conference next year since they haven't been picked up yet. They're one of 2 schools from the Pac-12 who haven't left the Pac-12 yet for next season. It's them and Oregon State who haven't left. So they're proving that a conference should bring them in. Next at 22 is UCLA. They moved up 2 spots after beating North Carolina Central. Never, ever heard of them. They beat them 59-7. Next is Tennessee at moving down 12 spots after losing badly to Florida. They losing 29-16. If you watch the video that I just uploaded of my radio show, you'll you'll hear that was one of my games of the week. And I said Tennessee would never lose that game in a million years. That there's no chance that Florida wins that game. Oh, how wrong I was. Ugh. I don't know what happened. I looked down at my phone for 5 minutes. Florida was up 10 points. I don't understand what happened in that. I turned the game off at halftime. I was done. But nonetheless, Tennessee at 23. I still don't understand what happened in that game. Now moving on to 24. Iowa moves up a spot after beating Western Michigan 41-10. And last team is Florida at 25 after beating Tennessee 29-16. Mind you, Tennessee was ranked 11th in the nation. That's why Florida is now in the top 25. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. See you next time. Peace.